In this video, you'll learn how to create a cinematic widescreen look in your project by changing your timeline resolution so your final video exports with those classic black bars at the top and bottom. We're going to keep things simple and stick to what you actually need to click and adjust, while also explaining why you're doing it so the steps really make sense. First, make sure your project is open and your clips are already imported into your timeline. You don't need any special footage for this. The effect comes entirely from how you set up your project's resolution and aspect ratio. Now, look toward the bottom right corner of your screen for a small gear icon. This is your project settings button. It might be easy to miss if you're not used to looking down there, but once you know where it is, you'll go back to it all the time. Click that gear icon to open the project settings window. Inside this window, you'll see several tabs and options, but the one we care about is the section that controls your timeline resolution. This is where you define the size and shape of your working canvas. By default, most projects will be set to a standard resolution like 1920 by 1080, which is a regular 16 by 9 aspect ratio. That's the standard format for most online videos. To get that cinematic widescreen look with black bars, you want to change this to a wider aspect ratio. One popular choice is 1920 by 816, which approximates a 2.35 to 1 ratio. In the timeline resolution fields, click into the width and height boxes and type 1920 for the width and 816 for the height. If your software suggests slightly different pixel values that still match a 2.35 to 1 ratio, that's fine, but 1920 by 816 is a good simple starting point. After you enter the new resolution, take a moment to confirm that this is applied to the timeline and not just the master project. If your software separates those settings, you should see a preview or at least a hint that your working area has become wider and less tall than before. Once you apply these settings, your existing clips in the timeline may appear slightly cropped or letterboxed, depending on how they were framed originally. You might need to adjust the position or scale of some shots to make sure important details like people's faces or text are still clearly visible within the new narrower vertical space. This is normal because you're effectively trimming off some of the top and bottom of the frame to achieve that widescreen look. The key thing to understand is that by changing the timeline resolution to a wider aspect ratio, you're telling your editing software to master the entire project in that cinematic format. When you export your video later, it will automatically include black bars at the top and bottom when viewed on a standard 16 by 9 display. You don't need to manually add black bar images or overlays. The difference between your widescreen project and the viewer's screen creates that look for you. Before you close the project settings window, double check that the resolution still reads 1920 by 816 or the specific widescreen value you chose. Then click OK or Save to confirm. From this point on, you can edit as normal, add your cuts,